participants, we are going to move forward to our third speaker. We have Dr. Ikhfi Imaniah from English Education Study Program of University of Muhammadiyah, Tanggerang. Dr. Ikhfi, if you are here, you are pleased to be on this webinar, and we are so happy to have you as well on this webinar. For our participants, if I may to highlight some of Dr. Ikhfi's bio data. She's an experienced lecturer and also a researcher with demonstrated history in terms of education, skilled in lecturing, teaching, also on the issue of higher education, and also and as well as university teaching with educational professional competencies. Her skills and expertise are in teaching and learning, curriculum development, teaching materials, teacher training, pedagogy and education issues, psychology, education, pedagogics, academic writing, of course, and also on issues of learning. Her concerns to education, academic speaking, and academic writing are among other things that have built up her competencies in language methodologies and techniques, curriculum and material development, linguistic, and also gender studies that she also pursue. Dr. Ikhfi finished her doctorate programs from University of State University of in Jakarta. In terms of publication, as similar to the previous two speakers that we have today, Dr. Ikhfi have thousands, if I may, thousands, because I have seen plenty on publications on internet. So you can just type Ikhfi Imaniah, and then you will see lots of her writings, list of writings that she has written individually or host co-writing with other writers. Dr. Ikhfi, without further explanation on your background, we are happy that you are here, and I will give the time for your presentations to proceed. Please, Dr. Ikhfi.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you, Ms. Linda, and then thank you for all the committee for the opportunity for me. Yeah, actually, I'm not as experienced as previous speakers, because I guess I am new in teaching English. Okay, here, actually, I'd like to share related to the issues of teaching writing. Well, I do agree with our previous speakers, yeah, talking about the effective teaching writing itself, the strategies, and then the one of issues that highlighted by Miss Professor Lustiani related to plagiarism. Then maybe I'd like to discuss again related to that issues. Okay, I'd like to share actually, can't you see my presentation?
Yes, it's on the screen,
Okay.
Dr. Ikhfi.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Linda. Okay, everyone. Actually related to the issues of teaching itself, the issues of teaching writing. Okay, the first one that we need to see that. Okay, we need to know the purpose of education itself. Like previous questions related to what is it teaching English from professor previously discussed that we not only teach the students, But here I'd like to mention that the purpose of education or the purpose of teaching is educating. So here, education, it is basically to actually prepare the individuals to become independent members of society. Okay, so in this sense, actually individuals are expected to be able to think, find and create something new, and then see problems and find new ways of thinking that are reasoned and more accountable. So here, when we teach the students, we need to give them uh, first motivation, and then of course educating them become from know nothing become uh, knowledgeable or know something. Okay, here that's why here students need to adjust to be able to overcome the problems faced in their academic life. Well, actually, in the same way, students need to prepare themselves to learn well and become autonomous ones. Because actually, related to our discussion last webinar, discussed about what we faced in 2021, we need to become, as a learner, as a student, uh, we need to teach students to become autonomous ones. Okay. And then what about to university students? Okay, here actually related to the issues of teaching writing, of course, to university students, writing is one of important skills for academic success for future and career development. Okay, and then since at the what is it, the end of their study, they write an academic writing of thesis or essay as well. It depends on the university itself. Okay, and then actually some of the challenges that are faced by the ESL and EFL students are lack of vocabulary, as mentioned before, and then poor grammar, poor spelling, students' readiness, and then a lack of exposure to books and reading materials. Okay, it is highlighted by some research here. Okay, next, that the challenges that faced by the students have made it also challenging for teacher to teach writing skill. Why is it challenging? Okay, it is because in reality we know that there are many facts that have mentioned before, and then one of the fact is lack of reading interest of students, of people in Indonesia as well. Okay, here I mentioned that Indonesia was the 60th ranked of 61st reading interest countries. Okay, that's why what is it makes people or students here are afraid of doing writing because they lack of reading interest as well. Well, the next one is linguistic and communicative competence. How to use grammar, syntax, vocabulary of a language. What words do I use? How do I put them into phrases or sentences? They're still confusing. Okay, then the next one is plagiarism. Okay, deliberate or reckless representation of another's words, thought, or ideas as one of one's own without attribution in connection with submission of academic work. Okay, so like previously said before, that plagiarism only copy paste without attributing who's mentioned the sentences or phrases into our work, into academic work. Well, next, the question is, what teachers need to do? What do we need to do as a teacher? Actually, here we need to activate students' interest in reading. How? actually by promoting reading completion, we can emphasize critical reflection, eliminates punctuative grading, like what is it? Ms. Professor said before that the teacher, the teacher in her junior high school, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, using wood to give punishment for students. We need to eliminate that kind of punishment, and then uses tools that promote democratic learning, because at the the purpose of education itself, we want to create students become autonomous one. Okay, and in activate students' reading interest, I have tips based on the issues of teaching writing itself. We need to scaffold readings into meaningful responses. Okay, issues a relevant scenario based on class topics, and the next include a list questions that require to students to explain. Then we describe or apply certain points from reading scenario. So this makes the reading and associated need for critical reflection a byproduct of the scenario that allows students to understand how the reading is relevant into qualified context. So ask the students to reading as habitual for them. So we need to engage students into some reading activities in the classroom. Okay, next. Segment the readings. Okay, as a teacher, don't just expect students to push through the, for example, 40 pages or 50 pages or one books, one book or two books and another of reading, and then critically reflect on it before the next class. We need to actually give them a roadmap through segmenting. So it's better for us to instruct students to read a set number of pages each day and to actively engage with the text. So highlight the key points. We make a due date, and then segment activities for readings, not only the whole pages that they read the text or the books in one day. So it's better for us to give segment the readings. Okay, so it will be more meaningful for the students, and highlight the key points what they get from they read. And then the next one, we need to encourage mixed media responses, because in this era we live in the digital era. So we as a teacher better to encourage them mixed media responses into reading activity. Okay, we already know that essays and journals have long been the standard for capturing students' reflection, but actually, once again, they are very limited as medium of creative expression. We can add more activities because of plenty of other digital intervention exists that easily democratize learning by giving students the maximum flexibility for critical reflection on their own terms. For example, like using learning management system, LMS, and then blog or video blog to give them more creativity, and then encourage them to give reading activities more meaningful. But then we need to remember that be aware of how students' socioeconomic reality affect their choices of digital engagement. As we know that not all students do understand how using sophisticated ones, how to use blog, how to engage into video blog or something like that. So students coming from disadvantaged background of lacking and means of skill for using mixed media may feel disfranchised. So actually, the teacher at beginning make it clear that none of the options are preferred over the other, especially for grading proposing. So it's only an option. It backs it back into our classroom what is it, characteristic of students itself. Okay. Then the next one, based on the reality, we need to develop students' linguistic and communicative competence, facilitate and support students to develop their linguistic and communicative competence skills. Okay, what are the activities actually to develop their um, linguistic and communicative competence? Okay, actually we can support the communicative competence performed in for language skills, particularly meaningful support to writing skills. Okay, so actually in developing what is it, linguistic and communicative, we not only support writing skill but also those for language skill. But then when we want to develop students writing skill, okay, please try to use the meaningful support to our students writing skill. Okay, um, actually how what is the meaningful support to our students writing skill? Okay, in the classroom activity, we can what is it, say that writers are the best writing teachers. It means to teach effective writing, we must be effective writers ourselves. So we give like a role model to our students. How if we teach academic writing, if we teach writing, uh, we we are as a teacher not or cannot be effective writing itself, cannot be what is it, a good role model for the students. So to teach effective writing, we must be effective writers ourselves. Okay, then the next one is the value of sharing. Okay, um, as the role of teacher itself, nowadays teachers not only as a what is it, not only as a what is it, facilitator, but also can do collaboration within the students. Okay, we can sharing our written work and ask for students' feedback. Okay, in that respect, it's essential for students to recognize not only our skill, but also our interest and engagement in constantly refining a crucial life skill. So it also helps students excited to do the same. Okay, and then the next one, write for your students. Okay, uh, sharing our thought process along the way. Students observe and critique to our work, which in turn helps them not repeat the similar mistakes. Okay, admitting our weakness, and then help our students become less defensive about their own work, and in turn more open to criticism. Okay, they may criticize our work, and we do sharing, and then we share this is the mistakes so that the students can what's it, can adapt and do not repeat the mistakes from what we are doing. Okay, and then seeking feedback, urge students to share their work with each other online. Okay, in increasing flat world and the digital age, actually students must feel comfortable and confident about sharing their work for the whole world to see. Okay, to the end, teachers should help students produce appropriately high quality content. Okay, in my actually essay writing class, I asked the students at the end of the class to what is it, write their essay writing, and then I make it into like a book chapter, so the students can learn from what they did, and then they can criticize what other students write also. Okay, so why don't we support the students to have a kind of opportunity to produce to give opportunity to them to have their own product. Okay. Then we need to bring them into real world writing. Okay. Teachers must do whatever they can to convey the importance and usefulness of writing more effectively. Okay, we can invite various professionals into our writing class to give some materials, give a point of view about the whole writing place in their lives. Yeah, actually, we can see and then find more on how making writing meaningful activities in this website. Here I find very clear and meaningful activities for writing class. Okay, you can adapt into your classroom activity. Well, the next issues is plagiarism. Yeah, so as a teacher, we need to ask students to avoid plagiarism. Okay, and then we need to say to our students that as previously professor said before, plagiarism is ethnical I forget the words, yeah. So, but in order to understand plagiarism, it helps to understand the process of sharing and creating ideas in the university. So we said that plagiarism is wrong. Okay, we in doing writing we do not only copy paste and then said that it is our own ideas, not okay. Actually, what are common types of plagiarism? Maybe I'd like to share a bit what are common types of plagiarism itself. Okay, the first one is direct plagiarism. Okay, it is a word-for-word transcription of sections of someone's work without attribution at all. And then, actually, as I mentioned before, that plagiarism of someone else's work is unethical and then academically dishonest and ground for disciplinary actions, including expulsion. Okay, we have ever heard that a professor in Indonesia have ever been dropped from his professor because of doing plagiarism. So it's really dishonest and disciplinary action. Okay, next, maybe this is it's only a bit of an example of that plagiarism. Here, the writer has included a word-for-word passage from his or her source without any indication that it is a direct quotation, without mentioned the source at all. So it's called direct plagiarism. And then self-plagiarism. It also happened, maybe I have ever experienced to my classmates when I was a doctorate program, students doing self-plagiarism, okay? Self-plagiarism occurs when a student submit his or her own previous work or mixes parts of previous works without permission from all professors or teachers or lecturers involved. Here, self-plagiarism also applies to submitting the same piece of work for assignments in different classes without previous permission from both professors. Or maybe here the students also have ever done this kind of self-plagiarism. Or in real, researcher work, self-plagiarism also happens. For example, when someone presented their another work, they quote their self quotation, but do not put any quotation or put any source at their work. That's also called self-plagiarism. Okay, and then Mosaic plagiarism actually occurs when students borrow phrases from source without using quotation mark, and then find synonym, just changes the synonym, but the same, still the same meaning of the original. That's what we call it. Sometimes we call it as page writing. Okay, this kind of paraphrasing, whether intentional or not, is academically dishonest and punishable. Okay, even if you footnote your source. Okay, then this is the example. Only borrow phrases, but do not indicating the quotation at all. Okay, including substituting or inserting words without indicating he or she has done so. Okay, it's not his work, but other works, and then you just copy paste and then without mention the source at all. Okay, and then accidental plagiarism. Okay, it commonly happens to students. Accidental plagiarism occurs when a person neglects to cite their sources or misquotes their sources or unintentionally paraphrases a source by using similar words, group of words, and or sentence structure without attribution into um, other source, into quote without quote the main source. Okay, it calls accidental. They neglect to cite their source. Okay, then actually it's questioning, yeah, why do students do not deliberately commit plagiarism? Actually, it's not only happens into students, but also happens into maybe some researchers or even the teachers who doing action research, uh, do not deliberately commit into plagiarism at all. Why? Okay, it's a result from there is no procrastination. Okay, procrastination means as a teacher we need to have a due date of students' work, of students' assignment. So it is important to set aside educate time to complete student assignment. Okay, to discipline the student. So it means we need to discipline the student to submit the work into time. Okay, and then it is also a result from incomplete understanding of original materials. Okay, um, avoiding using any source with which are not completely comfortable. If we're not comfortable, if we do not understand into our reading materials about some issues, it's better for us to not use this kind of materials. Okay, okay, and then the next one is it's a result from citation errors. Common errors that lead to accidental plagiarism include using words or passages from the original source without using quotation mark or without citing the source. And then the next one is poor note taking. Inexperienced students often forget to put quotation mark around notes taken directly from text or find that their notes are disorganized. Okay, maybe perhaps the students already read the materials and then, okay, uh, this is the good sentences to be quoted, but then they forget to, okay, maybe write down the names of the author or the year or the complete information related to the materials, the journal or the article as well. Okay, Yeah, actually, here I'd like to share actually how to avoid, how to avoid plagiarism as well. How? Um, Previously, we already discussed about avoiding plagiarism, and then uh, we to avoid doing plagiarism, actually, we need to include quotations into our works, okay, into our writing. So a direct quote should also cite the source so that the readers know who the quote is from. Okay, if what is it? The sentences is not based on our point of view. Okay, so we need to if we take from sources, we need to include the quotation as well. Okay, and then cite your source or referencing. Add a citation into your writing that identifies the full name of the source, the date if it was published, and any other citation elements that required by the style guide you're adhering to. So it depends on the style, yeah. It depends on the academic styles into your work, into your institution or university in doing referencing. Okay, yeah, maybe this is one of side referencing that I used. It is from Elsevier. Actually, you can use this kind of reference um, application to make you what is it, easier to cite or to do referencing. Okay, you can download it as well into Mendeley, yeah, mendeley.com. Okay, by doing, actually I always use this one, and it's really helpful for me to do citation and referencing. Okay, yeah, this is the examples of the application as well. So we can merge citation as well, and then we can insert generate in text citation in Word. Yeah, so it makes the writer easier. And then we also can insert bibliography as well. Yeah, we cannot what is it confuse how to put the names and the date and the title of the journal or even the book as well. So Mendeley will do it for you. Okay, and then the next one, in avoiding plagiarism, we need to paraphrase as well. Paraphrasing is writing sources, ideas, or information into our own words without changing its meaning. But be careful, once again, paraphrasing can slip into plagiarism if done incorrectly. So, yeah, as the professor said before, that we need to practice and practice to make it better, yeah, to do a better paraphrasing. Okay, actually, in doing paraphrasing, I have an issue that uh, in our digital age, uh, uh, what is it? Um, if we can, what is it? Present our own idea, we can use, or most of the students already know how to paraphrase using or Google by googling and what is it in Google. We can find any what is it media to do paraphrase. Yeah, it just what is it doing like this one. There are many paraphrasing tools that we can find into Google. So maybe, yeah, we can actually, as a teacher or as a student, we can not neglect this what is it, this kind of uh, very common issues in this digital age, but actually to reduce this kind of what is it, using of paraphrasing tools, actually uh, we can present our own idea. Yeah, So that's why we need to, in reading the source, we need to have to know better what we read. We need to understand the materials as well, so we can present our own idea. Okay. Then, yeah, this is the example of paraphrasing tools that we can find freely in website. As a teacher, we can neglect this one. You can see the example. The students can uh, freely only copy paste the words and then doing paraphrase easily using these paraphrasing tools. Okay. Okay, the next one, in avoiding plagiarism, we as a teacher or students as well, we can use plagiarism checker. Okay, we can using an online plagiarism checking tools can help us catch some issues before submitting our work. Okay, um, in Indonesia, many institutions use Turnitin not only to check plagiarism but also for making and providing feedback as well. Okay, yeah. In sum up, actually, I'd like to highlight, actually, based on what we discussed before, actually, there are three issues that I highlight here. The first issues in teaching writing is lack of reading interest. And then the second one, linguistic and communication competence, communicative competence. And then the last one is plagiarism. And then the problem that might be solved into those issues is we can activate students' interest in reading, and then we can develop students' linguistic and communicative competence, and then we can avoid plagiarism as well. Well, one thing that I like to give motivation to us, to me, to my students, and to the audience here is actually the first step is always the hardest. So yeah, I agree with Professor Lustiani that practice, practice, and practice, and it makes us better. Yeah, and then I believe that the success of our writing classroom lies in our creative and powerful hands. So yeah, keep fighting and then do not stop writing. Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Please kindly feel free to share your feedback, any questions, comments, or suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ikhfi. Really enriching our understanding about writing skills and the challenges we often face, and normally we need to deal with those, but not so easy for even us as academics and learners in English education. There are several questions already typed on the chat box. If I may read them, two questions are linked to the motivation issues, especially when you talk about uh, reading skill as one of the elements that will be contributing to the our ability to write. First question is that how to motivate the introvert students, especially when they have problems in poor pronunciations, also in dealing when they are in big class and they tend to keep quiet. How to promote it? And the question also linked to this issue of reading skills is during this pandemic has been really challenging for students to feel interested in reading. So how do you recommend or provide solution to help them, keep motivating them in reading? Dr. Ikhfi, please, those two questions for you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, actually, based on my experiences into writing class as well, actually, yeah, not only the students actually, but also the teachers really, what is it? Yeah, reading is kind of, what is it? It's kind of boring activities to do. It's better for us to watch a Korean movie, something like that, as a students or even a teacher as well. But then for the introvert students, we can, or even to, what is it, all the students in big classes, we can motivate the students into first what is it? We need to give a selection of the book itself. Um, we we try to give them uh, what is it? Free reading for pleasure. So what kind of books that you like? Okay, you can read uh, any books that you like. It's what is it consists of reading for pleasure. So the students can choose what the theme of the book that they really love to. Okay, maybe it's to engage the students into our um, what is it writing class. So better to, we need to know the students interest first related to what kind of books selection that they loved. For example, they love reading comics, or they're reading novels, or anything related to maybe to their the students ages. Yeah, it depends on the level of students itself. So when they, what is it, okay, this kind of reading activity is not as boring as what is it, uh, what is it that I imagined before. So when the students are engaged into our classroom activity, so they will believe that, okay, the next step will be very easy for the students to do. So it's better for the teacher to know students' interest first, and then observe what they like. Okay, so and then to, yeah, to get involved the students into our teaching and learning activity, particularly in writing class. Okay, maybe that's what's it for the first part. And for the actually, yeah, for the introvert one, actually, we can do like peer students activity. We can at the beginning of the class, we, of course, we do understand our students' characteristic as well, because we observe the classroom, the students' characteristic at the beginning of the class before we start to teach them. Then we know, okay, the students is what is it, introvert, and then the students is extrovert, and then the other, the rest of students are, yeah, different maybe style of learning. So we can make appropriate teaching methodology to our teaching and learning. Uh, and then, for example, for the introvert one, we can uh, do like a peer students, and then make a group activity, mix the students, and then, for example, we can do uh, uh, yeah, actually uh, choose the best and then the appropriate teaching and learning methodology to our teaching classroom activity. Maybe that's what is it for solving the problem into our teaching class.
Thank you very much. There are questions when it comes to developing writing skills. Um, one moment.
Excuse me.
Sorry, there's problem in on my side. if we can continue for the next questions, as I mentioned earlier, when it comes to developing skills, some of our participants asked the questions that writing is not easy. For example, when dealing with grammar mistakes, the choice of vocabulary, punctuation errors, etc. So the question also comes to sentence building. It also becomes an issue. So the participant asked the question, how to avoid problems like that, and how to do something in writing that's making full of sense in terms of the sentence construction, and comes to the further development of performance, how to become a good writer, especially for those who just starting to write something in academic sense or academic field. Dr. Ikhfi, is the question clear enough for you?
Yeah,
So,
it's clear.
okay,
Okay.
please feel free to answer.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Linda. Yeah, actually, I'm not best in writing, not yet. I'm still learning too. But then for the beginner, I can suggest that it's better for us to read a lot. So reading makes us better in writing. So if we cannot dealing with our grammar as well, if most of students are was it boring with grammar class or sentence building, okay, or sometimes makes error in what is it in word choices or grammar. It's better for us to read a lot, read an article, read the what is it, great article, read a lot about the what is it, someone's journal or someone's others writing as well. So it's better for us to reading a lot as well to makes us a better writer, and then practice and practice.
Okay. Still following on the question of practices,
Yes.
the question is, it is fully realized that practice makes perfect in terms of any skill development, but uh, is there any best method to maximize the practice?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I can mention the best method as well, because it depends on our classroom teaching. It depends on our what is the students' characteristic as well. Like previously, Dr. Lon said that in Thailand also it have it what is it? The students really hard to what is it, even it make a conclusion because of their style in Thailand, make many sentences. So it depends on our students' characteristic and students' level of the level of students. Yeah, it is better for us to what is it, searching what is the best one for our students. For example, if it is better for our students for doing what Dr. Loan said, feedback, it's better for our students and we can adopt it, it's okay. Or we can what is it, at the beginning of the class we need to give motivation to students, like Prof. Listianti said before, and we need to practice a lot to make our students was it better in writing, or even us better in writing. So it depends on our what is it, the characteristic of our students itself and the level of students itself. So we can adapt and adopt any kind of strategies in teaching writing. Yeah, really. Or we I can share the PowerPoint of mine, and then I give one of the source of the video of teaching writing. So maybe you can adapt from those examples of activities into the activity is kind of meaningful writing plus activity. So hopefully one of the activity can be the best of activity into your classroom teaching for writing.
Thank you, Dr. Ikhfi. That would be very wonderful to have those. Okay, great. One last question on plagiarism. Sometimes it is not fully understood. I mean, it is not something done on purpose. So the question is that, is there any way to detect or at least to understand that what the students did was plagiarizing?
Okay. Detect the students' plagiarism?
I mean, individually by students. How do they detect that what they were doing is actually plagiarizing someone else's work?
The students itself, the students understand that it is plagiarism, is it? Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned before, that types of plagiarism, yeah, you can see what kind of plagiarism of you that you made into your writing. For example, when you actually when you realize that you read read an article or journal or source, yeah, for your writing, and then you realize that okay, it is not my own point of view. It is based on, for example, Dr. Loan. So I should mention, I should cite, do citation whether it is based on Dr. Loan, and then it depends on the paraphrasing style. Yeah, we need to realize ourselves that if we copy paste an ideas, or we use an ideas of someone's work, we need to do citation. Okay, we need to quote where is it from, so the reader of our writing will do understand, okay, it is from who. Okay, so we as ourselves need to realize about that. Okay, even for example, when students using some paraphrasing tools, we need to do citation. We cannot claim that it is our own point of view, our own works without any do citation at all. Maybe that's the idea. So.
Thank you, Dr. Ikhfi. That gives the additional dimension of how we can avoid doing plagiarism on purpose or unintendedly. Thank you very much for your insights on this webinar. Once again, we as a committee cannot thank enough all the three speakers who are really resourceful in terms of writing, and knowledge in terms of writing publication has been great honor for us to have you all here.